Ambassador Ji-min stepped off the transport shuttle and felt her breath catch in her throat. The Galactic Council station stretched endlessly in all directions, a massive structure that could house entire cities. Its crystalline walls pulsed, with energy patterns she had never seen before, creating rainbow cascades that danced across the polished floors. "Stay close," whispered Captain Kim Woo-jin, her military escort. His hand rested casually on his sidearm, though they both knew it would be useless against the advanced security systems surrounding them. The corridors were filled with beings from across the galaxy. A group of tall, blue-skinned humanoids glided past, their robes flowing like liquid mercury. Nearby, a creature that looked like a walking tree discussed something with a being made entirely of living metal. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime to convert thousands of alien languages into comprehensible speech. "First time seeing the real galaxy?" asked their guide, a cat-like alien with silver fur and golden eyes. Her name was Lyra, and she had been assigned to escort the human delegation. "It's incredible," Ji-min admitted, trying not to stare at a floating jellyfish-like creature that seemed to be conducting business with a mechanical spider. "Wait until you see the council chambers," Lyra purred. They were designed to intimidate. The founding species wanted to make sure everyone knew their place in the galactic hierarchy. They passed through multiple security checkpoints, each more advanced than the last. Scanners analyzed their DNA, their thoughts, even their emotional states. Ji-min felt violated by the invasive technology, but she kept her expression neutral. "The Council doesn't trust easily," Lyra explained. "Too many species have tried to infiltrate their meetings over the centuries." The final doors opened with a sound like singing crystal, revealing the council chambers. Ji-min had seen holographic images, but nothing had prepared her for the reality. The room was vast, with platforms floating at different heights around a central speaking area. Each platform housed a different species, and the variety was staggering. High Counselor Vexstar dominated the highest platform, his serpentine body. It was over 20 feet long, covered in scales that shifted color with his mood. Currently, they displayed patterns of bored superiority. His eyes were ancient, holding the wisdom and arrogance of a species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. "So, this is the representative of Earth." His voice resonated through the chamber, carried by acoustic systems that made every word sound like a judgment from the gods. Ji-min squared her shoulders and stepped forward. Her simple blue uniform looked plain compared to the elaborate robes and biomechanical enhancements of the other species, but she wore it with pride. "Yes, Counselor. I am Ambassador Park Ji-min of the United Earth Federation." A ripple of what might have been laughter passed through the chamber. Counselor Thrix, whose insectoid form clicked and chittered constantly, leaned forward with obvious amusement. "Your species has barely mastered rudimentary faster-than-light travel," he said, his mandibles clicking with each word. "You wage wars with chemical explosives and kinetic weapons? How ... primitive." "We've studied your history," added Counselor Zephy's from her floating platform. Her ethereal form flickered between dimensions, sometimes solid, sometimes translucent. "Constant warfare. Environmental destruction. Your own planet bears the scars of your violence." Ji-min felt her temper rising, but forced herself to remain calm. "Counselor, every species has a difficult past. We've learned from our mistakes, and have you?" Vexstar's scales flashed red with skepticism. "Your species still maintains military forces, still builds weapons, still fights among yourselves."
We
"Maintain defenses," Ji-min corrected. "And yes, we have conflicts. But we resolve them through negotiation, more often than barbarism, disguised as diplomacy." Interrupted Counselor Korak, a being that looked like living stone. "We have observed your species for decades. You are not ready for galactic society." The judgment came swift and final. "We assign Earth a Tier 9 classification," announced Zephy's. "You are restricted to your home system. Access to advanced technologies is denied. Your species may apply for re-evaluation in 50 standard years." 50 years. Gumin couldn't hide. her shock. Counselor, with respect, humanity has much to offer the galactic community. Our innovation, our adaptability, your capacity for destruction, Vexstar finished coldly. We have seen species like yours before. They burn bright and die young, usually taking others with them. You will return to your system, Korak rumbled. You will remain there. Any attempt to expand beyond your designated space will result in immediate containment. The dismissal was clear, but Jimin wasn't finished. You're making a mistake, counselors. Humanity doesn't give up easily. We've survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have destroyed weaker species. We adapt. We overcome. You should remember that. The chamber fell silent. The casual dismissal in the air turned to something more dangerous. Is that a threat? Thrix asked, his compound eyes glittering. It's a fact, Jimin replied calmly. History has shown that underestimating humanity is unwise. As the council dismissed her with waves of crystalline appendages and electronic chirps, Jimin used the time to study everything around her. Her enhanced contact lenses, a gift from Earth's intelligence services, recorded every detail: the energy, signatures of the defense systems, the layout of the chamber, the obvious hierarchies between species, the subtle tension between certain counselors, what they saw as a defeated ambassador taking one last look, she recognized as intelligence gathering. Captain Wu Jin noticed her subtle hand signals and began his own observations. The number of guards, their weapons, their patrol patterns, the locations of critical systems and potential vulnerabilities. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks aboard a human transport vessel. Jimen spent the time analyzing her recordings and preparing her report. By the time they reached Earth's orbital stations, she had compiled a comprehensive intelligence package that would change everything. General Lee. Sung-ho waited in the secure briefing room deep beneath Seoul's military complex. His weathered face bore the scars of 3 different conflicts, and his eyes held the kind of hardness that came from making impossible decisions. Dismissed us, Jemin reported without preamble. Tier 9 classification. Restricted to our home system. Expected, Sung-ho replied. What did you learn? The holographic display activated, showing detailed scans of Council technology. Their energy systems are incredibly powerful but inefficient. They've focused on raw output rather than optimization. Kong Min-ho, Earth's leading Xenotech researcher, studied the data streams with growing excitement. These shield generators use a quantum field matrix, but the harmonics are completely predictable. We could disrupt them with targeted electromagnetic pulses. And their weapons? Asked Colonel Yoonhae-won. Impressive range and power, but they rely heavily on automation, Min-ho replied. Their targeting systems follow rigid algorithms. Number: creativity, no adaptation. Sung-ho leaned back in his chair. They've been at peace for too long. They've forgotten what real warfare looks like. There's something else, Jimin added. They're not united. I observed tension between several species. The Altarians and the Vorthok barely tolerate each other. Zephyrians consider themselves superior to everyone else. Exploitable? Hae-won asked potentially, but we need more intelligence. Unknown to the Council, human spy satellites were already spreading through galactic space. Disguised as mining probes and research vessels, they mapped trade routes, analyzed communication frequencies, and identified strategic weaknesses. Earth's military might have been classified as primitive, but its intelligence networks were already weaving through the galaxy like invisible threads, gathering information and preparing for the day when humanity would have to prove itself worthy of respect. That day would come sooner than anyone expected. The first sign of trouble came from the Deep Space Monitoring Station, orbiting Proxima Centauri. Lieutenant Choi. Hyen-woo was finishing his night shift when the sensors began screaming warnings that made his blood run cold. What the hell is that? He whispered, staring at the display. The readings showed massive energy signatures emerging from hyperspace, but unlike anything in the galactic database. The Zirathi invasion fleet materialized like a nightmare given form. Their biomechanical ships looked alive, pulsing with veins of dark energy that ran along organic hulls. Each vessel was unique, grown rather than built, with weapon ports that opened and closed like hungry mouths. The lead ship was a monstrosity, over 2 kilometers long. Its surface covered in what looked like scales that shifted and moved independently. Smaller vessels swarmed around it like parasites, their chittering communication frequencies creating static across all known channels. My God, Hyan Wu breathed. There are hundreds of them. The fleet moved with terrifying coordination, each ship responding to the others as if they shared a single mind. It bypassed the outer defense platforms entirely. Their adaptive shielding, absorbing the automated plasma bursts without even slowing down. Kepler-44b was a garden world, home to the peaceful Verdani species who had never known war. Their crystalline cities sparkled in the morning light, completely unprepared for what was coming. The Zirithi bombardment began without warning. Bioplasma cannons erupted from the alien ships, sending streams of living fire down onto the planet's surface. The energy weapons didn't just destroy buildings, they consumed them, turning matter into fuel for more destruction. Emergency evacuation protocols activated announced the planetary defense AI, but it was already too late. The Zirithi had learned from studying galactic defenses for decades. They knew exactly where to strike. The orbital defense platforms lasted less than 10 minutes. The Zirithi ships swarmed over them like insects, their biomechanical weapons tearing through shields and armor with disturbing efficiency. The platforms exploded in brilliant flashes, their debris raining down on the planet below. In the council chambers, the emergency session began in chaos. Holographic displays showed the destruction in real time. The systematic annihilation of 2 member worlds happening faster than anyone had thought possible. Status report, demanded High Counselor. Vextar, his serpentine form coiled with tension. His usually magnificent scales had turned a sickly gray color, sign of extreme stress among his species. Admiral Quinder of the Altarian fleet materialized via hologram, his blue skin marked with the ritual scars of a veteran commander. Zirithi have overwhelmed our outer defenses. Their technology has evolved far beyond our intelligence projections. How is that possible? Counselor Thrix clicked his mandibles rapidly, a sign of agitation. We've been monitoring the galactic rim for centuries. Using adaptive biotechnology, Quinder explained, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. Their shields learn from our weapons in real time. Every shot we fire makes them stronger. The tactical display showed the nightmare scenario unfolding. Gliese 667cc, a mining world with a population of 50 million, was under assault by a second Zirithi fleet. The planet's defense fleet, composed of heavily armed cruisers, was being systematically destroyed. Their ships are alive, reported Counselor Zora, her crystalline form flickering with distress patterns. They repair damage automatically, adapt their weapons during combat, and seem to learn from every engagement. High Counselor Zephys abandoned her usual ethereal form, materializing fully into the physical dimension. Her appearance was shocking, her normally beautiful features twisted with desperate determination. We must mobilize every fleet in the galaxy, she declared. Full military authorization. Override all bureaucratic protocols. That will take weeks, protested Counselor Thrix. The member species require formal requests, committee approvals, resource allocation meetings. Then we'll all be dead in weeks, Zephy snapped. Send the call to every species, every fleet, every ship capable of combat. The emergency transmission went out across the galaxy. A desperate plea for help from the species that had once seemed invincible. The message was simple. The Zirithi were coming, and everything stood in their path would be consumed. On Earth. The transmission crackled through the communication arrays at the Seoul Command Center. General Lee Sung-ho stood in the war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the galactic crisis unfolding. They're asking for help, reported Communications Officer Kim Soyoung, her voice filled with irony. All member and associate species are requested to provide immediate military assistance. Associate Species Colonel Yoon Hae-won repeated, her tactical mind already working on the implications. 3 months ago, we weren't even worthy of their attention. Now, they need us. Captain Park Do-haeon, one of Earth's most decorated ship commanders, studied the tactical reports with professional interest. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his eyes burned with the intensity of a warrior who finally had a worthy opponent. Zerathi are using classic swarm tactics, he observed. Hit fast, overwhelm local defenses, consume resources, move to the next target. It's effective, but it has weaknesses, such as Sung-ho asked. Swarm tactics require coordination, disrupt the command structure, and the whole formation collapses. They're also vulnerable during the consumption phase when they're focused on feeding. Dr. Kong Min-ho burst into the command center, his lab coat wrinkled and his eyes bright with scientific excitement. General, we've had a breakthrough. The Zerathi biosamples we captured from the Rim Scouts 6 months ago. We've successfully integrated their technology with our weapon systems. Show me, Sung-ho ordered, the holographic. Display shifted to show a sleek torpedo unlike anything in the galactic arsenal. These new plasma torpedoes can adapt their energy signatures mid-flight. The Zerathi adaptive shields won't be able to counter them because they're using the aliens' own technology against them. How many can we produce? Asked Hae-won. We've been manufacturing them in secret for months. Every ship in our fleet is equipped with them now, and our ship count, 57 vessels, including the new hybrid tech destroyers. Not much by galactic standards, but they're unlike anything the galaxy has seen. Sung-ho smiled grimly. Sometimes the smallest force can make the biggest difference. Dr. Min-ho, what other surprises do we have? Adaptive armor plating that learns. From enemy fire patterns, quantum communication arrays that can't be jammed, and weapons that think for themselves. The Earth Defense Fleet assembled in formation around Luna Base, their hulls gleaming with hybrid technology that combined human engineering with carefully reverse-engineered alien innovations. The ships looked smaller than the massive dreadnoughts of other species, but they radiated a sense of deadly purpose. Each vessel was a masterpiece of human ingenuity. Where other species built their ships according to rigid specifications, humans had created vessels that could adapt and evolve during combat. The hulls were covered in reactive armor that could shift its molecular structure to counter different weapon types. Fleet status report, Captain Do-haeon requested from the bridge of the destroyer Seoul. All ships ready for hyperspace jump, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Baek Min-ji. Crews are at battle stations. Good. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can do when we stop playing by their rules. The human fleet disappeared into hyperspace, heading toward a battle that would change the course of galactic history. Behind them, Earth's orbital shipyards worked frantically to produce more vessels. While the planet's population watched the stars with grim determination, the Zerathi had made a fatal mistake. They had given humanity a reason to unleash everything they had been holding back. The galaxy was about to learn why humans were the most dangerous species in the universe. The hyperspace jump ended with a violent lurch that threw Captain Kim Taemin against his command chair. The Ancient's hull groaned as it emerged into normal space. And what greeted them was a vision of hell. The Kepler system was dying. What had once been a beautiful star system with thriving colonies was now a graveyard of twisted metal and burning gas. The orbital cities that had housed millions of beings were nothing but expanding debris clouds, their remains glowing with residual energy from Zerathi bioweapons. Mother of God, whispered Lieutenant Nam Ji-woo from the communications station. Her face had gone pale as she watched the destruction on the main screen. The Zerathi bioships moved through the wreckage like massive predators, their organic hulls pulsing with dark veins of energy. They weren't just destroying the stations, they were feeding on them, converting matter into fuel for their living vessels. Sir, we're receiving fleet coordination signals from the Altarian command ship, Ji-woo reported, her voice barely steady. Admiral Quindor is requesting all human vessels to form up in standard attack formation. Ignore them, Taemin ordered. Without hesitation, we fight our way. Commander Lee Hyungen, his first officer, looked at him in shock. Sir, we can't just ignore fleet command. Altarians have been fighting space battles for centuries. And they're losing, Taman replied coldly. Look at their formation. Rigid, predictable, exactly what the Zerathi expect. Helm, take us. Into the debris field. Sir, that's suicide, Hyungen protested. The Zerathi will detect us immediately. Their biosensors can track energy signatures through any interference. Taman's smile was predatory. That's what they'll think. They've never fought humans before. We don't follow their rules. The Incheon banked sharply, diving toward the expanding wreckage of what had once been Kepler Station. The debris field was a maze of twisted metal, burning plasma, an electromagnetic interference that would blind most sensors. Engineering. Give me everything you've got to the stealth systems, Taman commanded, and prepare the special weapons package. The destroyer's hull began to shift, its adaptive armor changing color and texture to match the surrounding debris. The ship's energy signature dropped to almost nothing as it glided through the wreckage like a ghost, on the bridge of the nearest Zerothi bioship. The creature that served as its commander studied the tactical display with confusion. The human vessel had simply vanished from their sensors, as if it had never existed. Impossible, the alien hissed, its chitinous form twitching with agitation. No species has stealth technology that advanced. But humans had learned something the galaxy had forgotten. Sometimes the best technology was knowing when not to use technology at all. The engine scraped against a piece of station hull, using the physical contact to mask its movement. Taman watched the tactical display as they approached the largest Zerathi bioship, a massive creature that was busy consuming the remains of a civilian transport. Range to target? He asked quietly. 2,000 meters in closing, reported the weapons officer, Lieutenant Park Young-soo. The bioship is focused on feeding. Its defensive systems are at minimum power. Perfect. Lock onto its power core. Its full spread of adaptive torpedoes. The Incheon's weapons ports opened silently, revealing the sleek forms of the hybrid plasma torpedoes. Each weapon was a masterpiece of human engineering combined with reverse-engineered Zerothi biotechnology. Fire everything, Taman commanded. The torpedoes lanced out from the destroyer, their adaptive warheads shifting frequency every millisecond. The Zerathi shields, programmed to counter traditional galactic weapons, flickered and failed as the human munitions burned through their defenses. Like they weren't even there. The alien bioship convulsed as explosions rippled along its organic hull. Dark ichor sprayed into space as its living armor died. The creature's death screams echoing across all communication frequencies. Direct hit, Young-soo shouted. The bioship is breaking apart. The massive alien vessel folded in on itself, its organic structure unable to maintain cohesion after the devastating attack. The death of such a large bioship sent shockwaves through the Zerathi fleet, their collective consciousness reeling from the unexpected loss. On the bridge of the Altarian flagship, Admiral Quindor watched the human attack with growing amazement. His tactical officer, a young Altarian named Veltar, studied the displays with disbelief. They're not following standard fleet protocols, Veltar reported. They're treating this like guerrilla warfare. It's working, Quindor replied, his voice filled with grudging respect. The Zerothi formation is breaking apart. It can't predict the humans' movements. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. While the other species maintained their traditional formations and tactics, the human ships moved like predators, using stealth, misdirection, and pure aggression to devastating effect. Captain Park Soo-jin, commanding the destroyer Busan, found herself surrounded by 3 Zerothi bioships. Her vessel was damaged, her shields failing, and escape was impossible. Ma'am, we're taking heavy casualties, reported her tactical officer. Hull breaches on decks 5 through 7. Soo-jin looked at the tactical display, calculating odds and probabilities. Then she made a decision that would become legendary throughout the galaxy. All hands, prepare for emergency evacuation to the escape pods, she announced over the ship's intercom. Her first officer? Essel, ma'am? Her first officer asked in shock. You heard me. If we're going down, we're taking them. With us? She turned to her engineering officer. Overload the fusion core. Set it to detonate on impact. The Bison's remaining crew evacuated to the escape pods as the ship accelerated toward the largest Sarathi bioship. The alien vessel tried to move, but it was too massive, too slow. The explosion when the two ships collided lit up the entire system. The Bison's fusion core detonated inside the bioship's hull, vaporizing both vessels in a ball of nuclear fire. The psychological impact on the Sarathi was devastating. They had never faced an enemy willing to sacrifice themselves completely to turn their own destruction into a weapon. These humans fight like demons, the Sarathi fleet commander reported to his superiors. His voice filled with something the galaxy had never heard from the aliens before: fear. They show no fear of death. But Captain Omanesio had an even more devastating surprise in store. Her ship, the Daegu, had been monitoring Zarathi communications during the battle, and her science officer had made a crucial discovery. Captain, I've cracked their biocommunication frequencies, reported Lieutenant Shin Dong-huk. Their ships are linked through quantum entanglement. They share information instantaneously. Can we interfere with it? Minesio asked. That we can hijack it. Minesio's smile was fierce. Do it. The Daegu's communication array began broadcasting false signals, mimicking the Zarathi biocommunication frequencies perfectly. The alien ships, used to trusting their collective consciousness, couldn't distinguish between real and false commands. To Sector 7, the false signals commanded. Enemy reinforcements detected. No, advance to Sector 12 came another false order. Victory is assured. The Zarathi formation collapsed as confused bioships turned on each other, their organic computers unable to process the contradictory information. Some ships retreated, others advanced. Several opened fire on their own allies in the Seoul Command Center. General Lee Seung-go watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. The holographic displays showed the tide turning as human tactics devastated the Zarathi fleet. Status report, he demanded. Colonel Yoon Hae-won studied the incoming data. Sir, we've lost 12 ships, but the Zarathi fleet is in full retreat. The bioships are abandoning the system. Casualties. Heavy, but acceptable. The crews of the destroyed vessels mostly made it to escape pods, and the other galactic species, stunned, sir. The Altarians are requesting immediate tactical conferences. The Zephyrians want to know how we developed such advanced stealth technology. Sun Ho nodded. Good. Now they know what humans are capable of when we stop playing by their rules. The Battle of Kepler had lasted only 6 hours, but it changed everything. The Zarathi, who had seemed unstoppable, were in full retreat. The galactic species, who had dismissed humanity as primitive, were now desperate to understand human tactics, and in the depths of space, the surviving human ships regrouped, their crews already planning the next strike against an enemy that had finally learned to fear them. The galaxy was awakening to a new reality. Humanity had arrived, and they were nothing like what anyone had expected. The transformation of galactic warfare happened faster than anyone could have imagined. 3 weeks after the Battle of Kepler, military academies across the galaxy were rewriting their textbooks. And alien commanders were studying human tactics with the desperation of students facing their final exams. Admiral Cho Sang-woo stood on the bridge of the Seoul, the new flagship of the human fleet. The ship was a marvel of hybrid technology, its hull gleaming with adaptive armor that shifted patterns like living skin. Around him, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, a mix of human officers and alien specialists who had requested assignment to the mysterious human fleet. Admiral, the Zephyrian Third Fleet has completed the stealth maneuver, reported Lieutenant Commander Park Ji-young from the tactical station. They're holding position behind the asteroid belt, just like we taught them. Sang-woo nodded approvingly. The ethereal Zephyrians had always been masters of dimensional travel, but they had never thought to use their abilities for military ambushes. Human tactical doctrine was changing everything. And the Altarian strike force? He asked. Maintaining communication, Silence and running dark, sir. Admiral Quinder says his crews are still getting used to the idea of turning off their sensors, but they're learning. The irony wasn't lost on Sangwoo. 3 months ago, the Altarians had dismissed humans as primitive. Now they were eagerly adopting human stealth tactics, abandoning their traditional honor-based combat in favor of guerrilla warfare. Lieutenant Colonel Jang Yunhai approached with her latest intelligence report. Her enhanced cybernetic eye, a gift from the Vorthok Crystal Tech specialists, glowed softly as she processed data streams. The Zirathi are massing for another assault, she reported. 300 bioships, including their new warrior-class vessels. They're targeting the Vega colonies. Show me, Sangwoo ordered. The holographic display materialized above the bridge, showing the Zirathi fleet in terrifying detail. The bioships had evolved since Kepler, their organic hulls now covered in crystalline spikes that pulsed with weapon energy. The warrior-class vessels were particularly frightening, massive creatures that looked more like spacefaring dragons than ships. They've learned from our previous attacks, Yunhai continued. Enhanced bioarmor, redundant communication systems. Okay. And what appears to be some form of quantum encryption for their fleet coordination. How many ships do we have available? Sangwoo asked. 87 human vessels plus 230 from our new allies. The Altarians have officially requested integration into our command structure. Communications Officer Beak Sora looked up from her station with barely concealed excitement. Sir, we're also receiving volunteer requests. From 17 other species, everyone wants to serve under human command. The transformation was remarkable. Species that had barely acknowledged human existence were now competing for the honor of fighting alongside them. The galaxy's military hierarchy had been turned completely upside down. Sir, incoming priority transmission from the Galactic Council. Sora announced. The holographic image of High Counselor Zephy's materialized on the bridge. Her ethereal form seemed more solid than usual, a sign of her focused attention. Around her, the other council members were visible in the background, their various forms radiating nervous energy. Admiral Cho, the council has reached a decision. Regarding Earth's status, she began formally. We are upgrading Earth's classification to Tier 3, effective immediately. Tier 3, Sangwoo repeated, his voice carefully neutral. Around the bridge, his crew exchanged glances. They all knew what was coming. Yes, you have proven your species' military capabilities beyond question. However, full membership requires demonstration of long-term stability and adherence to galactic law. There are still protocols to follow, procedures to complete with respect. Counselor Sangwoo interrupted. We're not interested in your tier system anymore. The bridge fell silent. Even the alien crew members turned to stare at the human. Admiral. In the hologram, Zephy's flickered with surprise, her ethereal form destabilizing momentarily. I beg your pardon? She asked. You dismissed us when we sought cooperation, Sangwoo's voice hardened. You ignored us when we offered friendship, classified us as primitives and restricted us to our home system. Now you want to control us with your bureaucratic rankings. Admiral, you must understand. No, Counselor. You must understand. We'll work with you to defeat the Zarathi, but we do it as equals or not at all. Humanity doesn't accept second-class citizenship in a galaxy. We're helping to save. In the council chambers, the other species watched in stunned silence. Never before had anyone spoken to the council with such directness. The Serpentine Vexstar's scales flickered with what might have been respect. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Soul's research decks, Dr. Yoon Jae-sung had been working around the clock to understand Zarathi biotechnology. His laboratory was a maze of captured alien specimens, quantum computers, and experimental equipment that pushed the boundaries of known science. Admiral, I need to brief you on a crucial discovery, he said, arriving on the bridge with dark circles under his eyes. The holographic display shifted to show the internal structure of a Zarathi bioship. The organic vessel pulsed with networks of quantum-entangled neural pathways that connected every system. Their bioships are linked through quantum entanglement, Jae-sung explained. Every vessel in their fleet shares information instantaneously. It's like a single vast organism spread across space. That explains their coordination, Sangwoo realized. But it also means they have a critical vulnerability. Exactly. If we can disrupt their quantum network, their entire fleet will lose. Coordination. The bioships will be isolated, unable to communicate or coordinate their attacks. Captain Song Mingu, whose ship had been selected for the crucial mission, studied the technical specifications. What would it take to disrupt their network? Quantum virus uploaded directly to their command vessel. But it would require getting close enough to physically connect to their bioneural network. Essentially, a suicide mission. Then we volunteer, Mingu said simply, his voice carrying the quiet determination that had made him one of Earth's most respected commanders. The attack on the Zerathi command structure was a masterpiece of human tactical innovation. 3 stealth ships, including Mingu's destroyer Guangzhou, used captured biotechnology to disguise themselves as Zerathi vessels. The infiltration was perfect. The human ships, their hulls covered in living Zerathi bioarmor, approached the massive command vessel without triggering any alarms. The organic creature that served as the fleet's brain was over 5 kilometers long, its neural networks pulsing with the thoughts of thousands of bioships. "We're in position," Mingu reported over the quantum communication link, beginning upload of the virus. The quantum virus was a work of art, a program that used the Zerathi's own biotechnology against them, spread through their neural networks like a disease, corrupting their quantum entanglement and severing the connections between ships. Upload complete. Mingu's voice crackled through the interference. The virus is propagating through their network. Tell my family the transmission cut off, as the Zerathi command vessel realized what was happening. Bioweapons tore through the human ships, but it was too late. The virus had already spread throughout the fleet. Within hours, 300 bioships were drifting helplessly in space, their organic computers crashed, and their crews trapped in dead vessels. The mighty Zerathi fleet, which had seemed unstoppable, was reduced to floating debris. The galaxy watched in awe as humanity turned the tide of a war that had seemed hopeless. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had just achieved the impossible, defeating an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for decades. In the aftermath, as rescue ships moved to collect the survivors, Admiral Sangwoo stood on his bridge and looked out at the stars. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was leading that change. They had proven themselves worthy of respect. They had done it on their own terms. The transformation of the galaxy was complete. But the changes ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. 6 months after the Zerathi defeat, the very foundations of galactic civilization had shifted. With humanity at the center of a new order that would have been unthinkable, just a year before, Ambassador Park Jimin walked through the redesigned council chambers, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. The traditional circular seating arrangement, designed to emphasize the hierarchy of species, had been torn down. In its place stood a rectangular table where every representative sat as equals, with the human delegation positioned at the center, not as rulers, but as coordinators. The irony wasn't lost on her. These same chambers had once witnessed her dismissal as a primitive barbarian. Now, species from across the galaxy competed for the honor of sitting closest to the human delegation. "Ambassador, the latest security reports," said Captain Lim the Jin, her aide and bodyguard. The young officer carried herself with the quiet confidence that had become the hallmark of Earth's military. Her uniform bearing decorations from battles that had already become legend. G-Min reviewed the holographic displays showing the liberated Zerathi territories. Where once there had been biomechanical hives focused on consumption and destruction, new colonies were rising. The former enemies! Biotechnology, now repurposed for healing and construction, was transforming dead worlds into gardens. "The Zerathi have requested formal peace negotiations," the Jinn continued. "Their new leadership is offering complete surrender, reparations, and full integration into the galactic community." "Schedule the meeting," Jimin decided, though her expression remained cautious. "But keep our rapid response fleets on standby. Trust is something that must be earned through actions, not promises." The view from the chamber windows showed the bustling traffic of the new galactic order. Ships of every conceivable design moved through the space lanes, but increasingly, they followed human-developed navigation protocols and safety standards. The chaotic free-for-all that had characterized galactic shipping was being replaced by efficient, coordinated systems. General Lee Sun-ho had established his headquarters in what had once been the most exclusive section of the Council Station. The supreme commander of the newly formed Galactic Defense Force worked from an office that overlooked the very chamber where humanity had first been rejected. Status report on the joint fleet construction, he requested from Admiral Cho Sang-woo, who now served as his chief of naval operations. Every major species has contributed resources to the unified shipyards, Sang-woo reported, his voice carrying the satisfaction of a man who had seen impossible dreams become reality. We'll have 500 hybrid vessels operational within the year, all built to human specifications and tactical requirements. The new ships were marvels of cooperative engineering. Altarian dimensional technology merged seamlessly with human adaptive systems. Vorthok crystal matrices powered weapons designed with human tactical flexibility. Even reformed Zerathi biotechnology contributed to hull designs that could repair themselves and adapt to new threats. And the officer training programs? Sunjo asked, beyond our most optimistic projections. Every species is sending their best military minds to our academies. The waiting lists are years long. They're all desperate to understand how we think, how we fight, how we turn disadvantages into victories. On Earth, the transformation was equally dramatic. Dr. Kong Minho had established the Institute for Galactic Technology in what had once been a modest research facility. Now it sprawled across 3 continents, with alien and human scientists working side by side to push the boundaries of what was possible. The breakthrough came when we stopped thinking about technology as separate systems, Minho explained to a gathering of the galaxy's most brilliant minds. Human innovation lies in integration, in making different technologies work together in ways their creators never imagined. The laboratory around them buzzed with activity. Altarian researchers worked alongside human engineers to create ships that could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Zephyrian energy specialists collaborated with Earth's physicists to develop power sources that could run for centuries without maintenance. The Zerathi biotechnology integration has exceeded all expectations, reported Dr. Song Hai-jin, who had become Earth's leading expert on alien biological systems. Our new medical systems can heal injuries that would have been fatal just months ago. Limb regrowth, brain trauma repair, even cellular regeneration at the quantum level. High Counselor Zephy's materialized in the research facility, her ethereal form now a familiar and welcome presence. The transformation in the relationship between humanity and the Council was embodied in her regular visits to Earth. Dr. Kang, I must confess something that has puzzled us all, she said, her voice carrying genuine curiosity rather than the condescension of their first meeting. How did your species develop such advanced tactical thinking so quickly? Our military analysts have studied your methods for months and still struggle to predict your strategies. Minho's smile carried a weight of sadness that spoke to humanity's long and bloody history. We've been at war with ourselves for thousands of years, Counselor. Every tactic, every innovation, every desperate gambit we used against the Zerathi had been tested in human conflicts. We learned to fight because survival demanded it. The galaxy was fortunate that we chose to fight for civilization instead of against it. The final ceremony marking humanity's transformation from rejected outsiders to galactic leaders took place in the rebuilt council chambers. Representatives from every known species gathered to witness the signing of the new Galactic Charter, a document that would govern interstellar relations for generations to come. As Jimin approached the signing table, she passed delegations that had once looked upon humans with contempt. Now they watched with respect, and in some cases, the Altarians' proud warriors who had dominated galactic military thinking for millennia now sent their officers to learn from human instructors barely out of their 20s. The Zerathi delegation was, perhaps, the most remarkable sight of all. Their ambassador, a bioconstruct named Kethfer, moved with the careful dignity of a reformed warrior. His species had undergone a complete transformation. Abandoning their predatory nature for a philosophy focused on restoration and healing, we acknowledge our errors, Kethfer stated as he approached the podium, his voice carrying the weight of a species' collective regret. We underestimated humanity's capacity for both war and mercy. We pledge our biotechnology, our knowledge, and our loyalty to this new galactic order. General Sung Ho rose to address the assembly, his weathered face reflecting decades of military service and the wisdom that came from seeing impossible victories achieved through human determination. "The galaxy forgot something important," he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "True strength doesn't come from superior technology or overwhelming numbers. It comes from the willingness to adapt when others remain rigid, to sacrifice when others preserve themselves, and to never surrender when others would accept defeat. Humanity didn't conquer the stars through force. We earned our place among them through the one thing that no species had thought to value: the refusal to accept limitations." The ceremony concluded with the activation of the new Galactic Defense Network, a system that represented the best of every species working in harmony. Early warning satellites using Zephyrian dimensional sensors, rapid response fleets powered by Altarian fold drives, and coordination systems based on human tactical doctrine created a defensive network that could respond to any threat within hours. As the dignitaries departed and the great chamber slowly emptied, Jimin remained alone at the massive windows, looking out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of wonders yet to be discovered and challenges yet to be faced. Somewhere in the darkness, new threats might be gathering, testing the resolve of the galactic community. But they would face those challenges together. With humanity's indomitable spirit leading the way into an uncertain but hopeful future, the galaxy had learned the most important lesson of all: never underestimate the power of the human spirit, the END.